tired right now. Nothing to remind you how old and fat you are. I've been trying to walk out and stuff. And
Speak for yourself.
You're not fat. We're not old, right, Jim?
No. Absolutely. Yeah, fire call, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, the vehicles over there.
At least the wind wasn't blowing 50 mile an hour.
Exactly.
No.
I don't know what you guys had, but at least it wasn't blowing so bad.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse.
Wind always makes it worse.
Yeah. You got Dave on the line.
He said he will call in. They told.
Oh,
I said it wrong.
Okay. Call this meeting order, Stuart City Council tentative agenda, Monday, February 12th, 2024, 6 p.m. Call to order. Kirkpatrick.
Here.
Dudley. Morgan.
Here.
Russell.
Here.
Cobble.
Here.
Agenda approval, consent agenda, approval of minutes of 1/11/2023, approval of minutes of special meeting 1/23/2023, approval of 1/31/2024, approval of bills as presented, approval of liquor license, Stuart Speedway.
Okay.
Yes.
I'd make a motion to approve. Can we move number 9 up ahead of number 8?
Move 9 where?
Just ahead of number 8. And then I'll make a motion to.
Okay. How do you vote, Kirkpatrick?
Yes.
Who seconded?
Oh, Lynn
Oh,
second.
yes.
Oh,
Sorry, I'll second it.
Okay, here we go then.
Good catch, Ash.
Kirkpatrick,
Yes.
Dolly, Morgan,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Cobble.
Yes.
Okay, for Womble Addition Street today.
Hello?
Hey, meeting's at 6, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
We just started. And we moved
Okay.
to approve the agenda and the consent agenda.
now we're on number 4, Womble Addition Street Lighting, study application.
That just be estimate for us to be able to be here today, but if you have a question, be glad to answer. Otherwise, just a normal day application for one city.
Wait, is this just a draw pretty much because obviously there's no lighting out there?
They just want paid for materials, is what they're
Oh,
doing.
material.
That's what I offer.
Okay.
I'll move.
Second. Cobble, second by
Russell.
Russell. How do you vote? Kirkpatrick,
Yes.
Dolly,
Yeah.
Morgan,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Cobble.
Yes.
Okay. 5, 2025 or 24-25 budget, resolution 2403C, we're setting a date. Now, actually, we're having a special meeting to do March 25th.
Yeah, all that dates now and time, all the stuff is set by the state for the hearing. This year, the state is doing the taxes a little bit different. They send letters to everyone now, but it has to be after March 20th, 25th. So we have to have a meeting after 25th, just a special meeting, will take less than 2 minutes. Because the other items that be on the agenda is the budget, and we're done with the budget. Like I said in the budget work session, everything related to the budget, not just hearing, public hearing, and all these things.
Just going through the motions.
Yes, so we'll be having a special meeting on the March 25th, start at 6 o'clock and end at 6:02.
And if you have to, if you can't make it, just call them.
Yes.
Let us know so we got a quorum. Anyway, so need a motion on it.
I'll second it.
Morgan, second by Kirkpatrick. How do you vote? Kirkpatrick,
Yes.
Dolly,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
Russell, Cobble.
Yes.
Okay, Coon Valley, did they know the meeting was at 6, not 6:30?
I didn't think so.
Okay, Jim just called me this morning.
We can wait for, we can move on to the next item.
Okay,
We'll wait for.
hold it, okay. Set it back here now. 7, annual contribution.
This is $1,000 related to Region 12. We've been working with Region 12 for years and years. And we got the habit now to use that $1,000 for the last 2 years. If it's okay with the council, continue. Need a motion?
I'll make it.
Moved by Cobble,
I'll second it.
second by Kirkpatrick. How do you vote? Kirkpatrick,
Yes.
Dolly,
Yes.
Morgan,
Yes.
Russell,
Yes.
Papa.
Yes,
Okay. Now, 9, rescue unit update, Sean.
So attached, in the packet was the RFP, the request for proposal. And, so we had a meeting on the 29th, was it?
yeah, whatever the last Monday was.
Yeah,
Last Monday of January.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago, as it were. And so we decided that kind of the best way to approach it, the EMS, committee, was to propose like an RFP. So they had sent kind of a sample one out, and then further refined, through a couple, small group sessions, if you will, meeting. So what came through that was they worked with the lawyers with the county, and kind of just some of the conversations that we've had over, the last meeting and then the last year and a half, really, a little over a year. And that's where we came up with this RFP. And so what this does is it sets, like when you're putting things out for a bid, essentially, it's like a template for, if you want to bid, this is what we're going to require you to do. And so that kind of, as far as we were talking about providing the county with a contract from the city to the county aspect, this says that's great, so long as these things are in there and you're addressing these things, then that's what we'll consider. So that really sets the stage for how to proceed with a contract towards the county. The thing that I like best about this, the RFP specifically, is that this is really something, because the way those contracts and the service and will ultimately pan out is indeterminable right now, because it could be 2 years down the road before any of that happens, right? And the atmosphere could be very different. So what this says is the supervisors can take this and they can go essentially to the people in Guthrie County and say, we want to start a tax. If we start collecting that tax, this is what we're going to give you. We will require whatever service, whatever plan becomes of this tax, this is what we will give you. We will promise you the northwest part of the county will have this level of service, response times, on-duty crews, that kind of stuff. We don't know how that's gonna look, but that's what we can guarantee you. We'll figure the specifics out as we keep moving along. So that's what about this. Tentatively, and they have a meeting tonight at 7. This will go to the big group. The big group hopefully will look it over, add some, kind of refine it down. And then in 2 weeks, they'll have another meeting. And then hopefully we'll vote to send that to the Board of Supervisors. Board of Supervisors reviews this. They give a yay or nay, and then they can effectively put this on the ballot after that. So that early March is really kind of the end of the line as far as getting something on this calendar year or this election year. So hopefully, and I think something like this, then we can actually take to the voters and the people to have something that they can believe in and that they can, get behind, and that I think that they'll approve. You know what I mean? So, and we don't know how to look, so we can take our time to, as a city council, go through all the lawyers and the financials and make sure whatever contract we would send to the county would be, something approved and in the best interest of the city. But then, then we have a set of guidelines to kind of work off of. Any questions on that as far as, I don't know if anybody read through it or.
I did kind of glance through it, and one thing really stuck out for me, and it's not really a question, but it's a concern of mine, I guess.
Yeah.
They do have in a paragraph, let's see what page it is, so you guys It'd be the second page in,
Second page in, okay.
down on number 5. It says the contract with the county will be automatically renewed each year and is dependent upon the availability of public funding within the county's annual budget process. What does that mean?
Sessions, that will also, so let's say the tax was not approved, right? You send it to the voters and they don't approve the tax.
Mhm.
The county could still, on its own elective, say, okay, well, we didn't approve a tax, let's start with this anyways. And then they can put their own money into it, right? And so they could say, well, for a couple of years, we'll try it out, see how we do. And then if, a couple of years in, they're like, okay, this isn't working, the people aren't gonna vote for a tax, we'll just scrap it and then, et cetera.
That makes more sense, because the way I was taking it is like, what's that mean if it does pass? Is the county like, we might have money this time, we might not, and then I was kind of worried about us, like, now what do we do if? So
Yeah,
that's the way I was reading it, so I'm glad you clarified that.
yeah, and I think that it's also, kind of a catch-all as far as like, we don't know how much money until we're there and it's approved.
Sure.
And the valuation changes every year, so, those aren't necessarily static numbers, so that kind of just adds a clause in there that says, well, maybe one year you guys could be getting 300,000, but, if the total taxation comes down 100,000, then we're gonna have to adjust that or something, you know what I mean?
Sure.
So, yeah, but I think when we talked about it, that specific sentence was so that the county itself could, aside from a tax, go in
If they had
and look at something. Yeah, if they wanted to do that.
That makes more sense.
Any other questions? I do know, as far as my concerns about some of the things in this contract, I think that one of the things that they wrote in there was, the primary objective would be to cover shortfalls, right? Instead of just giving a specific, X agency gets 100,000 and X agency gets 200,000 or whatever. It would be, well, bring us your budget, we'll see how much you're losing, and then we'll do that. I think that there definitely needs to be some sort of, and I'm, speaking for myself and like on our behalf, I think there needs to be some minimum that says, well, we'll give whatever for whatever this base amount, and then depending on shortfalls or otherwise number of calls or, some other parameter to increase the amount of money, for the people, for the service that's incurring more costs, because to me, the way that it's written like that, you almost penalize people being fiscally responsible to provide the same service.
Correct.
And I don't think that that's necessarily fair. Or you incentivize somebody to spend more money than they need to, because then, oh look, it's shortfall, so we can go, rather than spending, trying to get the best bid on an ambulance and spending, 245,000, well, we don't care, the county will cover it, so let's spend 275 on it, or something, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so, I just think that there needs to be something in there that doesn't, like I said, kind of penalize being fiscally responsible in that manner. But so that was my main concern with where it's at right now.
Yeah,
And of course,
I agree with you.
hopefully we can refine and figure out, and it's all subject to voter approval, and then finally, once approved, a board that isn't even created yet to kind of really hash out those specific details. But
Sean, I got a question. Is there any council people, city administrators, other EMS, who's all going to these meetings?
well, as far as like going to the meetings, like anybody can go. And I know that, gosh, I can't think of his name right now, but the mayor last year in 2023, he was at a lot of those meetings from Honora. And some of the, yes, thank you. And so then some of the, different council members and other EMS people and, just members of the public have shown up.
Okay.
I don't have it with me. There's a book in there though that has actual like appointed voted member list. So, and it includes, there's a handful, probably 4 or 5 or 6 like EMS people, and then 9 or 10, not necessarily specifically EMS related people. So,
And you're working with the committee, kind of having meetings and.
yeah, some of it, again, just kind of clarifying information. So when we have those meetings and stuff like that, that we can have specific information. But yeah.
Okay.
So
Look through this.
unfortunately, it doesn't move very
Have
fast.
you guys read this? Okay. Did you see any issues? I know, the committee, our committee,
Yes.
has been working on some stuff. And you have what they recommend.
Yes.
Recommended. So I didn't know if everything is kind of lining up or if we got some red flags anywhere. Maybe Mike will get into this in his discussion, but
Yeah, it's just gonna let everybody
Okay.
kind of get through their questions on number 9 and then just have you stay up there for number 8.
okay.
So.
I was just jumping the
No, you're
gun,
fine.
I'm sorry, I'm glad you're here. Okay,
I think the communication is working good.
good, okay.
And I've been talking to Sean, I've been talking to Mike about these issues. We've been sending all the information to the city attorney, Steve Breck, we've been sending information to Chip Schultz. The result, we haven't got it for this meeting, from Chip and attorney. Hopefully by next meeting, they will have a result.
Oh, okay.
So all these things has been shared, all the information that Mike sent me, list of information, we provided back to him. We're sharing with the committee. So I've seen it working so far,
Okay,
unless Mike will add something.
and that answered my question, because I didn't know if, what our committee, I'll say our committee, but the Stuart committee and this
Yes.
is it meshing up, I guess, is
That's
kind
what
of
I'm
what you guys
trying
were.
to get,
Okay, sure.
because he told me that he's gonna meet with the committee last weekend, I think, but maybe he couldn't do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, this
Okay.
specific RFP, so we had kind of a different one, and then we sort of refined it after the lawyers. This is a lot closer to like a contract, so it's kind of like a meld between the two because the lawyers got involved, and so from the county that is, and so this specific one we really kind of hashed out, and I had access to Thursday. So I was on shift Friday, Saturday, so it's really there wasn't a lot of time to sit down and you know what I mean, like trying to get 5 people in the room at the same time. It's just
Sure.
tough on short notice, but
I'll just save my rest of the questions until we get done with it. Yeah.
Mike, I got a question. This is the 4th time you just addressed the council with no information in the packet. Can you give us the information ahead of time?
are we done with time just so we can vote?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, you gotta have information to give.
You don't have,
You
okay,
know,
just
so
verbally.
That's
so-
what we're trying to get.
Okay,
And I'll cover that. So this is one thing, I was at that meeting too, and there's a lot of talk back and forth,
yeah.
yeah, on the break. There's a lot of talk about the original.
Just a second, Mike.
Okay.
I want Jim and Justin, I just want to tell you, you weren't here, so we bypassed you. As soon as we get done with this, we'll
Yes.
jump back and get on.
We apologize. We
No,
that's
at
okay.
6:30.
That's
That's
fine.
totally fine.
That's fine. We'll finish this EMS stuff.
No, that's fine.
Okay,
That's understandable.
sorry, Mike.
No, that's all right. So there's a lot of talk about, the old proposal and stuff, and I was able to speak a little bit, and basically it came out, we need something from the county, so we know what we're gonna do, what we need what the county needs from us. And that's when they talked about this. So I'm glad to see that we have it. That's what we were doing. I know in some of our previous meetings up here, we talked about the Kenora contract and trying to get it rewritten, as to what Sean believes the service would look like to be able to present, and that's something, in my opinion, that should have been worked on without specifically being said. So are you doing anything with that right now? Have you got anything started?
As far as like working through the Kenora contract,
Yeah, and rewriting it, like, I know we had one meeting with the committee, the whole committee, and we kind of talked to you about, it's gonna be, we gotta leave it up to you, because we're not gonna sit there and write up a contract and say, well, you're gonna have 5 ambulances, you gotta whatever. We're not gonna do that. So we're leaving that up to you. Have you started anything on that?
Yes, so I did start it. I think especially, I had started some and, you know, a lot of it had to be reworked,
Sure.
it's from my standpoint, the way I see that, I think just to be more specific to cover more of the city bases and to actually address what the county is trying to do with that. So I started reworking that and then we had the meeting for this and we kind of came up with the RFP. So I kind of shifted to, okay, well now let's work on this RFP because then once we have the RFP sort of set out like this, then that really, then that's where that kind of, you can coalesce that to really
Okay.
dive into and
Sure, yeah,
create something that.
Yeah, we needed something. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
this is not something that we had to wait for this. We could have started, and it sounds like you started something to get, we don't need to be perfect right away because it's probably gonna change, 10, 15 times
Oh,
before
I
the
mean,
end.
we've got
So,
a year before it.
but we need to get something to it. So I guess, are you truly committed to this, to get the information to the committee? And the reason I bring this up is because some of the committee members received an email from you talking about specifically the committee. I won't go into specifics, but it was your opinion. But are we gonna be able to get past this?
Yeah, I mean, so
I guess-
I don't think it's not a hidden fact. I think that it's redundant to have that committee. But my opinion does not necessarily drive the way, you know what I mean? Like we said we would rewrite that contract. I'm gonna work on it. It doesn't really matter, do I think that's redundant? Do I think it's kind of silly to have a second committee and then report to all of you guys on top of that? The committee as a whole, the city as a whole, kind of, yes, but that's what we'll do. You know what I mean? So I don't have any problem doing that. It just obviously takes time and I kind of specifically shifted, so we could get this done, from a county perspective so that we could best do that. Cause I don't want to keep rewriting it. It's going to change anyways, but.
Right, but we need to get a start, right? So
Yes.
time is of the essence. They wanted stuff done by March 1st.
Right.
Is that realistic?
From the city to the counties.
Well, just they wanted to
county,
have
I
it,
guess.
yeah, to the county. Are they gonna get stuff done by March 1st?
So the next meeting for the advisory committee should be in 2 weeks. And so then ultimately you would have to vote to send this to the supervisors. And then they have a meeting, I think, every other Tuesday,
Every
something
Tuesday,
like
it's
that.
every week, yeah.
And so then, the next Tuesday, which could be the very next day, which I don't know that it would happen that quickly, but, so then the council or the supervisors on that council have said, that's, as long as we approve that in 2 weeks from today, that's something that they can take a look at and then take away. So the actual contract we sent to the county, is not on that same timeline per se, you know what I mean? So since we have this, if we didn't have something like this, where the county was giving us a set of specific guidelines, right? Then it would be more important, you know what I mean? And had we not been working on this, then we would have been working solely on rewriting that contract or reworking that contract, right? But since we have this, then we can kind of, spend more time working on that contract. Because if they get that to the vote and the vote doesn't pass, then we don't present anything to them anyways.
So this was not something that they specifically said, we need the cities to look at and really contemplate. I mean, we got, 2 weeks to contemplate this?
Right, yeah.
I was gonna say, when did we get this? Or when did you get this?
This specific version, so he had sent out a sample one like a day or two after the meeting 2 weeks ago. And then I had personally done that started working on that just through some of the conversation that night and then, some conversations with some people after that. And then he got the lawyers involved and stuff like that. And so this nearly exact copy or version, like I said, I had a meeting 9 o'clock Thursday morning where we talked about some refinements to this, and then that, you know, it was the night before at 7 or 8 p.m. that I had even ever received a draft of this.
Yeah, I think we should
You know,
have probably
4
had
days, 5
this
days ago.
early this fall.
Well,
Yeah.
should have had it a year ago. So this is one of the troubling things for me with the advisory committee, and I believe in what we're doing here. Whether, I know you said it in your email that we don't believe in that, but we do. We want to provide good, if not enhanced service to Stuart. And then the stuff that we do outside of Stuart, we want to be able to provide that equally as well, if not better. That is our goal. But it seems, in my opinion, that this advisory committee has been, I don't know. It took until the last one to actually talk about getting these specifics from them. And it really puts everybody with their back against the wall. So like we're sitting here with 2 weeks
Right.
before they're gonna vote on it. And it's like, how do we, I mean, did you get this to Steve Brick at all? Can you do that and say,
Okay,
I mean, we got 2 weeks to review this?
we gave him the contract, he gave.
You gave him Penora's, but this.
Yeah, we.
Because I know Corey had some questions about stuff.
Yeah, and that's why we decided to give it to you
Sure.
for this. You have questions, we'll highlight that to Steve Rick.
Sure. Well, he should read it first because, you know, I'm not gonna pick apart a legal piece. You know, I could guess all I want, but I can't do it, you know?
Exactly, yeah.
We'll give it to Steve Rick tomorrow.
Okay, that's good. And again, you know,
I mean, I think I'm with you, you know,
Yeah.
Corey and Mr. Kirkpatrick and Mr. Kala, like, it wasn't something that had come up, you know what I mean? It just took the right conversation to bring, you know, had we been, you know, in January of 2023, said, okay, let's start working on a request for a proposal. And as soon as we have something that we can take to, you know, that would have taken 3, 4, 6 months. You know, we could have had something like that last July, but, you know, whatever reason, that's not, that conversation just didn't, you know what I mean? It didn't, those seeds weren't planted back then, and, you know.
and we can't change it now.
Right, of course, yeah.
It just feels like we're working a little backwards at all.
We are. I mean, I had.
It was a long road, I agree.
Yeah.
I will be honest, I had a talk with one of the advisory committee members, and I won't say who, but they conceded, they didn't have a lot of direction or leadership there. That's their opinion, okay? I can only agree. If you've ever been to one, you need to sit and listen to it. Again, I think they're well-meaning. I believe in this. I believe we need to enhance our service. I don't want to, my goal has been to get to that because, as you say in your email, no person, EMS or politics should care about where the control is. That's not their deal. That's our deal on who has control, you know, especially over our employees. That's our deal. I agree with you this. But when I get stuff like this, and I was going to make copies to hand out to every council member so you can see this, but if you want to see me after the meeting, I'll show you this. It really, I'll tell you, as you know, so I was upset, you know, I called them about it. But it just makes me wonder, are you going to work with the council and the committee? Or are you going to fight us on this? Is there something that we're not aware of? You know, because there's some pretty bold statements in here, and they're not opinions, they're statements. And I just don't believe they're correct, you know? What do we have as your commitment to work with us? Because we're gonna start having some phone calls with Steve Brick and Chip Schultz. Ash will probably be there, and Mr. Doley will be on there, so we can discuss this. Because even though we could take 2 years to do our contract, you don't want to do that. You want to see this kind of come a little bit fast. It may take a while, but why not get this done, get it done up front, you know? We don't want to be spinning our wheels for 2 years, kind of like the advisory committee does. You know, we need those ideas put down, get them done, and have something to present to them sooner. You know, I'm not saying it would go anywhere, but we got to get it done, you know? So I wish we didn't have this. I wish we didn't see this. you know. I appreciate your opinion, but man,
Is this, Mike, and I'm only asking a question, is this something that you three need to,
that's why I don't want to get into it too
Just
far,
meet
but
with-
I just, it's concerning to me.
it kind of sounds like maybe just have
Yes,
a meeting or
It's
something?
something that I talked to Councilmember Mike Caldwell about it. I told him I would visit with the director. I visited with the director. And he understood what was right, what was wrong. And that's kind of
Okay.
all I can say about the meeting.
No, that's fine. So do you understand where I'm coming from? I
Mm-hmm.
really want to work with you. I want to do this. I want you to have the control over writing that contract. I don't want it, you know? I want you to let us make the decisions up here and hopefully support them, because we are trying to act in the best interest. It has to be in the best interest of Stuart first, and then what we're going to provide to the county or for the county. That's it. It's simple. And if we can get it done, I would love to be a part of this. I know you would love to be a part of this, and I think every council member on here would love to be a part of this. I just want to put this other stuff aside. Let's move forward. Let's get it done. So as long as you are committed to working with us, just know you'll probably be called for some meetings at some point with the attorneys. So if you need help, I don't know if you can, maybe get Luke to help. I don't know what you got to do, but try to get something written up. We can do it in pieces, whatever. Hey, this is what I got. That's not a big deal. They'll work with it. We can add to it, but we need to get stuff going so we can put something together and show the citizens, not only of Stuart, but of the county, that we're working on it.
Yeah.
We're working on it.
Yes, and that's the intent, you know what I mean? Especially now that we have something like this, like an RFP, something that I think all parties involved, the advisory committee, the supervisors, the citizens, the city councils, that you can kind of, something where they're all on the same page, trying to force something before that, I think really, puts the cart before the horse, you know what I mean? And so, unfortunately, it took that long to get this kind of to a place where, yeah, that must be an animal.
Yeah, someone's had a call.
And so, unfortunately, it took that long to get to a place where we were on the same page. And, I have my opinions, right? That's very obvious, right, sometimes. And, but I never, my intention is to work. I'm an employee of the city of Stuart, right? So, ultimately, for lack of a better term, and I use this lightly, I answer to you guys, you know what I mean? My duty is to everybody out there in the city limits that's gonna call me for an ambulance and everybody that I work for, you know what I mean? I think that we kind of take a little bit different approach because everybody is somebody that I work for out here, and so I really got to look at that, and I want to expand and go out and because I think that makes our service better. It just takes a while to kind of, how can we? I also feel an obligation to make sure if we're going to do that, if the county's going to collect a tax and pay us to do that, that we have an obligation to make sure the taxpayers in the county as well are getting the best bang for their buck and the most honest service out of that as they can, because I try to do that for the city, and if the county's paying the city to provide that, they deserve that too. You know what I mean? And so
And that's your charge, is to write that service up. What is Stuart EMS going to provide for the city of Stuart and outside of the city? That's your baby. That's not ours. Ours is going to be financials and other stuff.
I've been talking about that.
Yeah.
And I send that to Steve, ready to move.
Right.
Any questions?
So I don't want to beat a dead horse. I hope we're on the same page. I got very concerned when I saw this. So I wasn't sure what it meant, because you did include some, what you call ramblings in there. And I was like, that's what we need in this contract. That's perfect. Put it in there, So just so you know, I don't know when they're going to be set up, but try to have something. If you can't, I prefer that you let us know that, you know, like on this one, hey, you know, it may take me a little bit more time, but we're gonna start having these phone calls. It is important, I think, to get it out there. Even if we've had this 3 weeks ago after our January meeting, and you had something written up, it wasn't gonna go to it wasn't gonna go to the thing up there, it was gonna go to Steve, because everything has to go through Steve, then it's gonna have to come up here.
Right.
So the sooner we get started on it, the better it is gonna be for everybody, so. I appreciate you getting this information. That is exactly, I think, what I spoke to at that advisory meeting. That's what we need. We have no idea what they want. We had none. Nobody appeared it. You might have, I did. So this is a little bit clearer.
Well, we had no specifics, you know, I knew what they would expect.
Right.
And what we provided and
Sure.
need to provide it, but, you know, without any.
That's why I said we should have had this way before. But one last question from me. Have we started thinking, and this goes to the Stuart Committee, have we started thinking the next step? So if this does, we do vote on it and saying, hey, yeah, let's send it out to vote at the end of the year. Have we thought about the next steps on how are we going to educate the citizens of the county? How are we going to educate them to know what they're going to be voting on? You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, I mean, we can't just put it on a ballot and expect it to pass, or, you see what I'm saying? So now we're gonna have to start educating, and have we thought about that, or have you guys talked about
Can I jump in real quick, Sean?
Yeah.
So this would go to my point of having Stuart having had some sort of a written thing and saying, well, hey, Stuart is looking at doing this, you know? And I'm just gonna elaborate. I'm not saying this is it. Stuart's gonna take over, and this, for everybody out there, I'm not saying this is what we're doing. Okay? This is just an example. You know, say, you know, Stuart's gonna take the lower third of the county. We're gonna do, I know they said 20, but we'd have an average response time of 20, hopefully get it down to 15. You know, this is what blah, 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 blah. And then that enables people to go, hey, you know, the county's gonna do this, Stuart's stepping, you know, it matches, you know, and it might not be perfect, but it's just something. You know, and I'd be behind that. I think it's gonna be very tough to educate people here and not have something concrete to kind of show.
Yeah, no, that's what I said, that's what, yeah.
You know,
We need
but
to get
even
that
from
done.
us, we need something, we got something from the county, but I think we need something from us saying, this is what we see the Stuart service being able to provide here to everybody. And then we can partner with whoever we need to, ADARE or whatever, you know, we can kind of talk, it's gonna be kind of a long process, but just as long as we can get something, that, I think that would help us, help you guys and everybody to get everybody on the same page and see the importance of this. Because I do think it's important, you know, I think it's important for everybody.
And I think, you know, to your point, Mr. Patrick, like we, even before the December meeting, you know, I had sent an email because I couldn't be at the December meeting, I was singing or whatever, and I said, you know, we need to get people involved so that we can bring something specific to the taxpayer, because they're just not gonna agree to anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? They have to.
Especially when you're talking about levies and everything else.
Right, so, you know, I said, email Chip, or who was the county auditor, whatever, the money guy for the county, right, too, and, you know, kind of get some of that stuff so that we have something to bring to them, you know, and this is, I think, great. So really, I mean, at that point, you just kind of, we have no plan for disseminating that information to them at this point, as far as the advisory committee is concerned, but, you know, the, kind of the ways that I've been doing is I've got that book out there, and now that we have this, you know, maybe put it in a couple more spots, or, you know, something like that, so that people can see this. And then, you know, as we get some information or specifics on a contract, or, you know, update sort of just the information in those books to say, you know, here's what we can do, and then have some local meetings about it for people to come ask questions.
Because I think if you had this, you said, here's what the county expects from us, and here's how Stuart EMS is going to meet those, you know, and this is going to enhance your service, you know. So it's gonna go hand in hand with something from the actual city, from you basically,
Right.
on that to put those two together to show what the county's in, and this is how we're gonna respond to it. So, again, I think we're good. I appreciate that the advisory committee did come up with this. I think it's very important. It's gonna give us more guidance, and just as soon as you can, get started on that, so we can get that together and start working with people.
Right.
outside of this.
The goal is to, you know, refine this, you know, maybe see what the meeting tonight brings up, and then shift to a contract specific from the city. So, you know, hopefully, like tonight, they get some of that, you know, the meeting starts at 7, so I might be able to be part of that anyways, but, you know, to kind of, but yeah, get those wheels turning, because, yeah, I agree.
Thanks, Sean.
It was frustratingly long to get to this point, but,
I guess one quick question. Now, if my understanding, this is Stuart, Adair, and Nora all kind of coming together to figure out what services to provide in the end. Is there going to be any collaboration between us three to really try to have any unity in the contracts we're presenting, or are we going to kind of rely on that as in we're presenting them to the board and they're going to come back, look at them all, and try to bring unity to them in the end?
ultimately, that is unclear at this point.
Okay.
Ideally, all three as far as, because technically there's an ambulance in Bear, right? But, you know, any of the transporting services or anybody that wants to be a transporting service in Guthrie County would all work collectively together to do that, you know, but we've already, you know, I've already had conversations about, well, you know, we really need to develop a plan. Well, what happens if A happens? What happens if B happens? And how do we fit into that if this happens? And so, you know, ultimately we don't really know, like that would be ideal. I think that the closer you get to something like that, the further or the more pushback you get from the councils and the cities as far as like maintaining local control and this kind of stuff, and the concern that would affect local services. You know, but that would be the most efficient and the best way to do it, especially in a county tax perspective. But those contracts would just have to be, the way this is written, you propose a sealed bid to the Board of Supervisors, and they look through all of them and would accept or reject or further evaluate from there.
Great, that was an awesome question. Thank you for bringing it up. So, I get what you're saying, but is this something we could, even though it may not work in the end, can we start those discussions wholeheartedly? I know you've had some, but can we get that? Is there some way to get people from each Adair and Panora and stuff to kind of sit down and say, hey, you know, let's look at this and get it to a point where either it doesn't work or it kind of works? Because I like your idea, you know, if they were all kind of similar, you know, like, I read it, didn't get into it too much with a lot of whatever, but like saying, you know, hey, we're gonna be on the same protocols, we're gonna do whatever it is, because I don't know. But can we do something? Can you have maybe Luke do that if you're busy, or somebody get in touch and meet up with these departments and say, where can we start? Where are we at? I think it's really important. I think it's really important to do that.
Right, and I think, you know, having a set of, you know, qualification or maybe not qualifications,
Metrics.
yeah.
Benchmarks, as they say.
Benchmarks, right. Then we can all sit down, the people who like the transporting services and even the non-transporting services, and you get them all in the same room and you say, okay, what can you provide? What would you be willing to provide? What's it gonna take for you to, for us all to meet up and kind of meet in the middle there? And then ultimately, like, you know, if somebody doesn't, you know, Adair says, well, we don't want to pay people, you know, we don't want to go from our volunteer status, you know, then, okay, well, what does it look like for us to cover that? You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so those are conversations that, yeah, now that we have something specific to go after, you know, then we can say, well, this is what we can do to provide this or whatever. And then those conversations, just, you know, getting everybody in the same room obviously is kind
As
of.
best you can. And I want to say that I don't want to make a motion to say he has to do that. I just don't want to, because you know, we get, like I said this in one meeting, we get accused of micromanaging enough. I want you to be cognizant of that and really strive for that, you know, along with this contract, because I think, again, I can't assure you enough that we are behind this. We want to see it work. Sooner is better than waiting.
Ultimately, that's how we best serve our population that are, the local population, the people already in Stuart, and then also the county once we get there, if we all work as islands, which I think is where we were 3 or 4 months ago, kind of when, I don't know, everything kind of imploded, if you will, it doesn't work.
And
We've seen
working
that
out,
already.
the sharing of the people, I know you mentioned local control. We'll do that. We'll figure this out, the councils will, because we set the policy on it, so go ahead.
I think, is the advisory council, they're just wanting like thumbs up right now from the towns to say, yes, let's put it on the ballot, then we figure out all the contracts and stuff moving down the road. Is that what they're looking for first?
I think right now, the advisory council, as far as the committee or the county is concerned, is can we all agree to send this to the supervisors? You know what I mean? And then it would be, up to the cities to come back and say, you know what I mean? If all of the cities take a look at this, the vote passes, and they say, well, we don't want to be a part of this, then it would be up to say, okay, well, how are we, without the cities involved, gonna provide this service?
Yeah, right, and ultimately, it'd be the taxpayers that are gonna decide the ending factor anyway.
Right. So the advisory committee for the county would like to see something from the cities that say, okay, well, we can work with this. We can find something in this that works for us, and then we can agree to.
And that's what I was saying, is so.
But they don't necessarily have to.
Does the Stuart committee need to go up there and just say, we're good for the city of Stuart, we're good, put it on the ballot, we'll work out the logistics part of it in this year's time? Is that something that, or do they want something in writing first?
Well, as long
I
as
don't-
we had it reviewed by our attorney
Sure,
and make sure stuff is in there. Because I looked through it and I'm like, okay, but what do I know? I could agree to say, oh, that looks good, and it says, well, in 5 years, you prove over your things or whatever, As long as we had that, I was more comfortable seeing this than anything.
I was too.
more comfortable
I was too.
seeing this
Yeah.
because it really gave that specifics in there.
Right.
Now we just need to know, is it ideal? I don't want to say ideal, but can we work with it? Is there going to be anything in here that might be a stumbling block? And the only thing that is really hard, and we talked about it, is the 2 weeks. We got 2 weeks to decide.
Yeah.
I know, and really it shouldn't be the committee. This committee is not going to make that decision. I'll put that out there. We only got 2 council members that have to come back to the whole council.
Right.
For vote. So if we need to have a special meeting prior to that,
Then
then
we
maybe
may
in
have
that
to.
motion that we could call a special meeting in that motion that I made. Because it is important. We need, I'm not gonna sit there and be 2 council people and say, yeah, and the other 3 are going, wait a second, I won't do that.
So if Ash sends that, I'll let him look at it. Whenever he gets back with us, I say, we probably should have a special meeting, right?
Right, yeah, I would say so too.
Well, because the next council meeting for you guys would be after
Correct.
the
Exactly.
meeting of the advisory.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, so,
Move this.
sounds good.
okay.
Thanks.
Thank you for answering questions and,
Yep, thanks,
good
guys.
fun.
Okay, so done on the EMS, now Mike,
Oh,
you
yeah.
got performance review?
All I wanted to, we're not gonna do one tonight, of course. I just wanted to get you guys' thoughts on this, because I did bring it up in a public forum one time. I spoke, Mr. Doley's actually done one. I think he said he sat down with you. Very good. Okay, so how do we want to proceed? Do we want to do them individually? We can. The only bad thing with that is that if there's some concerns that address them, you can address them, but not, it doesn't technically mean that you would have to do anything, He probably would, but, or do we just have at one meeting, we go through and say, hey, this was mentioned good, this is concerned, blah, 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 what do we want to do? So I think it's important we passed this, a couple years ago, or a year ago, whatever, and just to kind of have a starting place and let him know how we think he's doing and go forward from there. So any ideas on that? I know I got mine done. And all I did was I went through his, and I don't know if you want to do one, since it's only a month and a half. But I just looked up the code. Oh, go ahead, Dave.
Well, and Craig knows too, because it's hard, because Ad also works with the utilities, so I think we just, but we owe it to him, and I think he would appreciate it too, to know whether, he's doing a good job, bad job, what he could do to improve, whatever it might be, so, it would be great too, if, I don't know, like what Mike's saying is how you, or do you compile it all, or do you just have individual meetings? Because I do agree that something's better than nothing, and I think that everyone should have a review. I mean, I think we owe it to any employee to review them, just like Ashton, does a review for the heads, and they do a review for theirs. So I agree with Mike on this. I don't know how that would go or what we do for that. And the wrinkle in that is the utility side. So Craig does know Ash on that side too.
And that would be my concern and question about this all is, it's not fair to Ash to have the 5 of us on the city council, and since he is paid and also helps on the utility side, technically he should have all of them coming at him with the same thing. I mean, is it fair to him to have 10 different people coming at him with 10 different directions on things where we really should come together, put our thoughts on paper or however, come together as 2 groups and pile one unified review to present if we're gonna do this.
Right. And
So that would be my opinion on how it should be done.
And if you remember, we talked about this at a utility meeting, and we were greeted with nothing but silence, on, did you want to do a review? Unfortunately. And I think we should be working together.
Yes.
I know on mine, I'm just looking at from the city side, because I don't know what he does from the utilities, specifically. I don't think there's anything out there that says what you do on the utility side, is there?
Of course.
Where?
Well, can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Easy on everybody. When was the last time I told you that I did evaluation for?
When you told us?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh.
What? Since personnel-ish.
Mhm.
You sitting here for the last 4 years talking about.
Mhm.
Is that right?
Approximately, yeah.
Yes?
Yeah. I think we only,
What's different between me and Jim?
there isn't any.
There
So-
isn't any, so when was the last time I came and gave you the evaluation of who? Or even talk about
I don't know what you're asking.
who? I'll sit
Okay.
like that. Did I talk to you in a public meeting about him?
I kind of like the public aspect of this is, I guess.
What do you mean, discussing how we're gonna do this, or?
You are talking about personnel issue.
I'm talking about how we're going to do a
You
review.
already have talked about it for
Right.
4 years. You made that motion based on your recommendation with the process that needs to be done. And nothing has been done, but you're still talking about it. And even if we do, you're still gonna be talking about it. Finally, I have to tell you, this is personnel issue. When was the last time I told you I evaluated survey? Or talked about it? You set up the process and procedure.
Mhm.
Why don't you follow it?
So,
There is a motion here made by you.
for the review,
What's the evaluation review and by your recommendation?
right, we're gonna do a review,
You did that to 2022.
okay?
You didn't follow. I gave you evaluation sheet last year
Right,
based on your motion.
right,
You didn't follow
yeah.
because you like to talk about it in a public, which is personnel issue.
Well, I think it's talking about the process. I know we got the,
The
but
process
we
is
didn't
being
do it.
approved.
We didn't do it. So now we need to do it, right?
So
So is that all we say is we just sit down and do it?
I just wanna put it into it. This is here. September 12, 2022. Councilmember Caldwell
Yeah.
discussed with the council, the process of establishing a procedure for completing a performance review of the city administrator. The council requested the process to be established for all employees. Moved by Benson, seconded by Dolly, to establish a procedure. We
Okay.
need to continue?
Do we have, is the procedure there?
Yes.
Okay.
For completing performance review
Right.
of all employees. The department heads will review department employees. The city administrator will review the department heads. And the city council will review the city administrator by distributing a review form to each council member to be completed individually, which will then be given to the mayor, who will discuss the performance review with the city administrator. And if a discussion with the council is desired, it will be completed with the full council in attendance during the annual regular April meeting of the city council.
Okay.
Established a procedure 2 years ago.
Okay, so there it
And
is.
you the one did it. And you the one keep, you know how many times you have brought that issue to the council?
Doesn't matter.
It does to me, because this is personnel.
Okay.
If you
so-
set a policy, you follow.
Right.
But you have, see how many times?
Okay.
By you, not them. Actually, Councilmember Dory came and sat with me and gave me his review. I respect.
Okay.
And he said, you have it done, but you don't want to give it to me. You want to talk about it.
No, I didn't say I didn't want to give it to you. I wanted to know how everybody was going to do it. But if we want to just wait until everybody does a form, we'll just
No,
do
now
that.
we're gonna go to the deja vu.
Yeah.
Of the same thing that you like to talk about. What is the heart of evaluating me? You have evaluation from you to me. There is nothing hard. You
No,
just
I know.
sign it and give it to me. That's all you do. I do the same with all of them. But I don't come here and in a public meeting, have a discussion like that. There's employment law that we have to follow.
Right.
When it gets to personnel issue, when was the last time I sat here and told you I'm evaluating Ashley or Nadine or Jim or Dave, how, we don't do that in a public meeting. We follow the law. And I've been waiting to give you this information for how long? You enjoy putting it on the agenda.
Well, why didn't you give it to me?
Because you made a decision here. I didn't force you to make that
Well,
decision.
but I understand that. Now I'm going to say something. Would this have been better to give me a call? You don't have to, and say, hey, we already have this, and then we wouldn't have put it in there.
So it's my fault?
No, I'm just saying, could we have done this without bringing it up? Because I don't know, you weren't on there when we passed this, were you? You weren't.
That was
Were you?
the- that was
Yeah.
the-
Yeah, and you were, no, did you want me to tell you the vote?
No, you're fine.
It's something that anyone working in any organization able to know that. When was the last time, for the last 30 years that I worked here, I came and talk about any of the employees? This is personnel file. The most dangerous thing we can do is to come to a public meeting, talk about employees, good or bad. It has to be in a certain way to be done. And I'm not here to give you a lecture. I'm just here because
Okay,
enough is enough.
fine. That's
You know,
fine.
I don't want to be harassed. I want to be evaluated.
Okay.
You harass me.
Well, I don't feel that
You don't
way,
feel, but you do.
but I don't look at it that way.
I'm looking at it the right way.
Well, I understand you're looking at it your way, but that's fine. So we have a procedure.
Just
we can
follow
follow-
it, and that's
we can follow
all.
that
I
procedure.
give you the evaluation sheets. You want another copy, I'll give it to you. You want to evaluate me, just make sure you sign your name. Specifically you. I can't wait to get evaluation from you. I'm telling the whole body. I want your evaluation.
Okay.
And I want it to be signed.
Sure.
The other council member welcome to come talk to me, put it to writing, sign it. But from you, I would like it to be signed by you.
Sure. Well, who else would sign it?
I hope.
Nobody else would sign it.
Because I'm not gonna go every meeting, have it on the agenda. 4 years you're trying to do that. And we had this discussion before. And all the council members sitting here heard it before. Even the new councilman, he was at the meeting and heard it. I'm trying to tell you, there is a protocol we have to follow. I follow with the employees. I am an employee of the city. You have to follow it with me, whether you like me or not. That's not the issue.
Yeah, that's fine.
Ash, who do you report to? The mayor?
The council made it.
Okay. So if we do the evaluation, we should all just compile them, give them to the mayor. The mayor should be the only one sitting behind closed doors and sit down with Ash and he can look at all of our,
That's what the establishment did.
Okay.
They made a
Yeah.
motion, that 2 years ago it was established. And I came last year, handed everybody.
Yeah.
Evaluation sheet. And I didn't get it back, I didn't respond, that's okay, maybe next year. So, I didn't do, I did what I have to do, but I don't wanna be harassed here. Every meeting, and every time we think about it, for what? Evaluation is not punishment. When you evaluate somebody, actually, I can't wait to evaluate. Actually, Dorian and I had a great discussion over this evaluation. The best I've ever had in my career with Councilmember Dorian. I'm sorry I can't say what we
No, that's
discussed,
fine,
Yeah.
yeah.
but it was awesome, it was great. This is what evaluation is. When I said with the employees, I do the same. Because the evaluation is not a punishment. It's a form of communication. You think I do something good or bad, communication, we communicate over. But we don't put it as a harassment item on the agenda. I'm like, hello? When the last time that I go, Jim will be evaluated next Tuesday at traffic law. Or next week at 2 or 3, I might evaluate sir. I don't do that. I never ever talk about employees in a public meeting. And I think I'm done. So,
Okay. Okay,
We got number 8 then?
Yep.
Okay. Coon Valley, you wanna come to the microphone, Jim, and introduce yourself? And Justin.
Well, thanks, Dick. I'm Justin and Justin Snyder. We're both with Coon Valley Telephone over at Midland. And we're here tonight just to answer any questions or concerns with the fiber project that we're going to be doing.
where does this all stem from, Jim? Did the citizens, the businesses and whatnot, did they come to Coon Valley and ask questions?
Well, we get a lot of phone calls, Corey, from
Okay,
the actual Stuart Business District in terms of, can you help us out? And a lot of times it's the telephone side of it that we can't do today.
sure.
But with this fiber optic, yes, we can do the phone.
We provide a lot of service with our wireless, but it's limited. We have we have such a small pipe with wireless and line of sight. There's a lot of limitations, whereas with fiber, there's no limitation on how much internet we can give them. We can give them phone, and we're also looking into other packages where we can offer business.
Jim, can you tell the council where you have this already? I know I've discussed it with you.
Sure, no, that's fine. Our main feed comes up on North Street, or 12th, I think it is. And then we turn on Harlan and then come down. And then actually, we feed the water tower. On top of the water tower, we got antennas. So the water tower is fiber fed. And then we take off on Northeast 2nd and we go east. And we got a cabinet out there and we feed phase 3. And that would be which?
All things.
All Saints, yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And then actually, we're on board to do phase 4 of the Lumbold. So.
Good.
I tell you, Corey, we see an opportunity
Yeah.
for our little company.
Yeah.
And
You
just
guys
next
provide-
door,
Sorry.
we're excited.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, we gotta make sure we do the steps properly. And we just don't want nothing but bad.
Yeah. No, I think you guys provide an excellent service. I know you guys work hard and you're busy all the time and providing your customers and everything. And I think it's great what you're coming to ask and proposing and everything. I think it's wonderful. And I was just asking the question on how that all sparked. So, and it wasn't kicking in the shins by no means. It was,
Oh, no.
I think you guys are doing wonderful. So good.
and the presented their proposal to the utility, I should have said that before.
Oh, okay.
And the utility is fine with everything, giving the go ahead.
Yeah, we met last week, Justin and I, even a contractor, Jim was the one meeting. And we pretty much showed him the maps and everything.
Good.
we're gonna be doing. And then, we met with, Pat Howie and his group of guys, and, so they're on board.
And there may be some opportunity where they would pull some stuff back with, like when we bore it, we're pulling back, pull some stuff back for them. They had some stuff they were hoping to maybe tackle, and our contractor was more than willing to
Oh,
work with them too, so.
Perfect.
Then we don't, then when we put ours in and they wanna come do theirs, they're not having to digger, it's just, like, when you're in there, get it all done if you
Yeah.
can, but easier said than done.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, good. So,
And then in terms of, kind of a start and finish, contractors are busy,
mhm,
and you gotta get them
yeah,
you can get them. And, but the one work we have, we've used him for years, and we're solid with him.
Good.
And, so we're hoping, I'm not for sure when this weather's gonna break. I mean,
Already
you know, it already has, but,
I'd say right now, but.
So hopefully-
We're gonna jinx it.
yeah, hopefully, early this spring.
Okay.
And then, I don't like to throw a finish timeline, but, I'd say probably about the middle of June, if everything goes fine. That's construction. So, and once again, it goes in phases. You got the underground construction first. And then I would say the second phase would be, splicing the fiber. And then the final phase is, installing it at the businesses.
I know you talked about future expansion, so are you looking to like supply every household in Stuart at some point?
So we've designed this with big enough fibers, when we get done with the business district, there'll be hubs in all the corners that ultimately, yes, it would be,
Okay.
the dream would be,
Sure.
yeah, the dream would be to supply the whole town, yeah.
Yeah.
It'll likely be in phases, it's not just the business district's gonna be
Would
very
that
expensive, but
eventually include something south of the interstate, do you think?
Yes.
Okay.
And Jim, are you north and Diamond Head already too?
Yeah, so the last 2 years, just take South Raccoon River, Nations Bridge, and we've got that all built now to the south. And then actually this year, so the contractors will be doing the old business district, and then Coon Valley crew will be south of Stuart. And we've got like 49 miles of fiber we gotta get done. That's timelined. So we gotta get that done this year. So,
for a rough thing, our Menlo Exchange, right, underpass, I mean, roughly, it's a little bit further east than that, but draw a line north-south, the underpass, that's Menlo and then Stewart. We've got from there all the way to Diamond Head, or Dallas County, essentially. We're even on the east side of Diamond Head. All the way to Dallas County, and then, draw the river down south to town here, essentially.
What are we looking for on this motion or?
Well, see, if you're good with it, you can make a motion that
To
give him the go ahead.
And this is underground, right, Jim?
it is, yeah. And
No lines of honor poles.
no, and then, there is a differentiation, there's like pedestals and handholds, this is all handholds. So it'll be flush to the ground. No, we'd like to, some kind of we did give you a resolution a while, I don't know, a week or so ago, maybe Sarah has it, but we just want to make sure we get that motion that we can use the city of Stuart right away.
Yeah, he's got there.
And you, I mean, I don't know if you have any right away, it's okay, right? I mean.
Yeah,
there's no
they'll have to fill out a right-of-way permit through B&K, but we've
And
discussed,
we already
Okay.
passed that on to
No,
our
sure.
pressure, so.
we've discussed it with them, and I don't have any reservations.
Well, I would make that.
I'm gonna move by Bubba, second by Morgan. How do you vote? Patrick? Dolly? You still there? Morgan?
Do I need,
Yeah.
do I need to abstain too, I believe?
It's only
Is there a
because
reason
of
why?
services.
Was that?
The service would be downtown through Main Street, right?
Oh, because he's
Yeah,
a
because
business.
It's
I
business.
don't know if that's a conflict, but anyway, that's fine.
Okay.
You wouldn't benefit like financially from it.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of, anyway, go ahead.
I'll abstain.
Okay, Morgan?
Yeah.
Russell?
Yes.
Kaba?
Yes.
We're not good.
So we're good anyway.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate Appreciate it, guys.
Good luck.
If anybody has any questions throughout, or, you know, where we're at, I guess, just give us a shout.
Exactly, if you see us working, you don't like something, my gosh, visit with us.
We've got Jim's cell phone, so we know who to call.
There you go.
Thanks, guys.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Okay, 10, Stuart Economic Development map.
All right, guys, you have any questions on my report? I wanted to report that the marketing, I think it's been going well. I wanted to ask if any of you have seen any of the Facebook postings or YouTube postings or anything that
Yes.
has been put out there. Okay.
And that's done by me, right?
Yep. And,
Have you any way to measure any, do you have any kind of measurable stuff that maybe somebody said, hey, I saw this out there and that's why I came here or something?
No, that's one of the hard things that's about marketing. It's too hard to get something that's tangible and quantifiable. It doesn't speak to you until later on, until you get feedback from others. You know, the only thing I can throw out as an example, when I had my handyman painting business, and there were people that would tell me, yeah, I heard your ad on the radio. Sure, I stopped advertising on that radio station 2 years before that. And I was doubtful, and I'm conservative, and I didn't see an instant spontaneous thing that could tell me, hey, I'm getting something from this. But it proved later on that it was working.
Sure. And I wasn't trying to put you on the spot or anything. I was just wondering if maybe somebody, with it being such a bigger platform with Facebook and stuff, if just somebody out of the blue said, well, I saw you guys on there, and I know there probably are, and you just haven't heard it.
There are people that are commenting to me about it.
Okay, well, there you go.
Granted, yes, I've seen it. and
Okay.
I have received positive feedback.
That's what
That's just me, and that's why I'm asking you, what are you guys hearing or seeing? Because you're decision makers. So it's good to hear that you're getting some feedback from it as well.
Now, is Nate or yourself able to provide any sort of statistics on, here's the number of clicks, views, here's how many people have responded or anything along those lines to these
Just like an
videos?
Yeah.
Right.
What the engagements are.
So, there's 960 followers. The numbers go up and down every day. And depending on when he puts on a new video or a new short thing on there. The numbers go up and then they'll level off for a while if there's not enough activity or not enough going on. People like to see something every day. And so we only contracted with him to do four fairly good-sized videos
I think
for the year. So he's been doing some YouTube shorts in addition. So that's, in my opinion, above and beyond on the contract. So.
Can he provide anything like what Craig was saying, like how many clicks, views, whatever? I mean, that should be able to.
Yeah, so I'm able to get in there as well.
Okay.
And check and monitor the.
I think even for our fire department, there's a part we can go in and click on and it says, you've had this many engagements. And I think that would be good to
So.
throw out there at some point.
It gets, 1,200 engagements, 1,500 engagements on a day, and then
Sure, it's gonna vary.
it goes up and down.
Yeah, because he'll be up for that contract. What is it, April?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it is, April or May, I think that contract.
And that'll help us decide if it's gonna go forward.
Yeah, so, and he just got done doing, he set up a studio in the library and interviewed a few other people in town for 2 more videos.
And they did drone footage from around town.
Yeah, and he's not doing the drone footage, he's hired a contractor it's got the proper license and everything that's been doing taking some good drone footage.
Awesome.
So, so that, the drone and the other video editing stuff that contracted out. And so that's a big part of the cost on him. Okay. So then, at this moment, I want to go ahead and announce that we're having a third annual Women's Entrepreneurial Event scheduled for April 24th. And we have Debbie Durham from Iowa Economic Development Authority as a keynote speaker. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Debbie Durham, but she's head of the Iowa Economic Development Authority, and she has a pretty good following. So making that announcement. And then Iowa Living Roadways Community Visioning. We're having focus groups on February 24th at the high school, going on from approximately 8 o'clock to noon, going off my memory here. Focus group one is for parents, one is for active recreationists, one is for mobility challenged, and another for older adults, and one is for the steering committee. I could still use 2 city councilmen to be on the steering committee, and I would like people to sign up. We're asking people to sign up for the focus groups, and that's just one Saturday morning. If anybody classifies as a parent or anybody as an active recreationist or mobility challenged or older adults, it's just 1 hour. You go to the website. I handed you guys a sheet or put it on your seats earlier with the website for sign up. It's real easy, but if anybody has any difficulty, they can reach out to me and I'll sign them up and have them sign the paper form. And it just takes an hour on your Saturday morning for, if you can just choose one of the focus groups. So you all are welcome to attend that Saturday morning. If you could, that would be great. Reach out to the public. And also still need, I could use 2 city councilmen for the steering committee.
Why do you keep looking over here, Matt? You're looking at James, right?
looking at
James and Corey.
That's good, I think you said all.
So I really appreciate your guys' help if you could with that, please.
All right.
So that's all I have.
Quick question for you, Wumble, have you had any interest from builders yet? I know it's not done out there, but has anybody started reaching out yet?
I'm having a lot of interest. Good.
Good.
But
Stay positive.
right now we're telling them that I still have 5 lots in all states I have to get rid of.
Yeah.
So they gotta get moving. So I know I've received another email. I think it's pertaining to one of the lots. I think we have one of the 5, one of the remaining 5. I think it's maybe obtained. I'm behind on my emails, so I haven't had a chance to get into anything. So hopefully or should be down to maybe 4 lots in the All Saints area. The phase 4 though, it appears it might be more appealing to some of the builders and some other potential homeowners.
Sure. Okay.
So, but yes, to answer your question, though, I am getting a lot of response on that.
Good.
People are asking for the plat. They want to know, they want to see what's going to be available. So,
Good, perfect.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
Okay, public forum.
I have one.
Go ahead.
If nobody else does. Just to circle back, there a month or 2 ago, Mr. Galliano was up here, expressed his concerns with the alley, snow removal, and maybe he was kind of wanting to maybe put a stop sign at the end of the alley or make it a one-way or something like that. Just to follow back through, I took it upon myself to investigate that a little bit. I went through that alley numerous of times, different times of the day, when school was let out, when rush hour. I didn't I didn't feel it was unsafe traveling from the north to the south, there where Landis is. I felt like I could see both ways decently. After the big snowstorm, I did drive down the alley just to make sure that, to see where the snow was placed, because that was another one of his concerns. I didn't see an issue there. The only issue that might arise if Bill Gomez maybe came and complained because some of the snow was a little bit further on his end, but I don't think I know Bill enough where I don't think he was gonna complain.
Jim,
Go ahead.
that was placed there by the contractor that he has.
That he hired? Okay. I wasn't pointing
No, I
fingers at
understand.
you
I
guys,
just,
but,
I'm clarifying.
yeah,
That's who put the snow there.
okay.
And we're on record here.
Yeah, and so that's one of the things that I feel, in my opinion, and it's taken me 2 years to set up here. A lot of times we don't circle back on things, and I think that we should do that. Because he is a taxpayer, he's a citizen, he's our neighbor. And we didn't really address him that night because we didn't have that information. So that's why I took it upon myself just to kind of investigate, and just, we should reach out to him, or I can reach out to him, I don't care, and just let him know that, we heard him, and we responded. But I feel that I don't think that needs to be a one-way or a stop sign. I felt, in my opinion, that I could see just fine. So-
I'll have to agree, I did the same thing.
Oh, good, I'm glad you did. Good.
Especially, my son was in the audience that day and wanted to check it out after the meeting, so.
Oh, good. I'm glad, yeah.
Landis sets back far enough, you can get past Landis and see both directions.
Yeah. So, now I will say it's congested when school's out. There's a lot of high school
Oh, yeah.
kids coming this
There
way.
is.
I get it. But I never did get pulled out there where I needed to back up or to see. So-
Is that on the north side, the high school kids you're talking about?
No, it's south.
Okay,
Yeah,
never
when they're
mind.
coming through,
Right,
yeah.
okay.
So,
Second Street, there's not much traffic.
Sure.
I just want to throw that out.
Okay.
We did kind of look at that a little bit, so.
I just want to say, remind people that the town cleanup is April 26th and 27th hours, got to figure out yet. And will you get hold of the landfill, let them know?
They've already been notified.
Okay, so they know.
Yep.
Hopefully it'll work out. Anybody else have, oh, John, go ahead.
Sorry, John, you could have stepped up there first.
Because I'm not gonna be up here that long. Just a couple things. First of all, I noticed that you have elected to try to get a quote for your insurance coverage, and that's fine. But you need to remember that your utility board now is in litigation, or probably soon will be in litigation with the water tower. They also are insured by EMC. And Ash and our attorneys and the utility board are gonna depend a lot on EMC's adjusting crew to consult with them on how this thing is gonna go. And they probably wouldn't be real happy about it if they lost half the business. Because I believe the utility board is not gonna take a quote this year. So now you both can have a different policy. I don't think that's real good planning on your part, but if you can, if you want to, I would caution you to watch that you don't mess up with the utility board, because that litigation could go on for quite a while.
And John, you definitely have to have somebody with your expertise comparing apples to apples
Well,
too.
my expertise is probably close to 10 years old. But
Yeah.
the other comment I would make is what you've been talking about here tonight with this employee evaluation thing. And Mike is concerned about micromanaging. That's micromanaging. That's his job. It's not your job to evaluate his supervisors. If you want to evaluate him, I'm sure that would be just fine. Now, my best means of evaluating Ash was to sit down and read our audit every year. That's a pretty good picture of the job that he's doing. But if you wanna have an evaluation of Ash, as long as he agrees with the format that you set up, that's fine. But until then, he can do his job. That's all I gotta say.
Ash, can I wanna ask you, if I respond to that, am I gonna be stepping on anything? I just wanna clarify that we're not evaluating the employees.
But it sounded like,
Okay, yeah, we're not.
Okay. Anybody else have anything?
I don't want to say that.